Marshall,
Present.
Councilmember Shrubnik,
Here.
Mayor Baker,
Excused.
Deputy Mayor Herbig,
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
If you'll all please stand and join me in the flag salute. All right, next up, we've got the agenda approval. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Next, we've got two proclamations. So the first proclamation, Diaper Need Awareness Week. Whereas diaper need, the condition of not having a sufficient supply of clean diapers to ensure that infants and toddlers are clean, healthy, and dry, can adversely affect the health and welfare of infants, toddlers, and their families. And whereas national surveys report that 1 in 3 mothers experiencing diaper need at some time while their children are less than 3 years of age, and 48% of families delay changing a diaper to extend their supply. And whereas the average infant or toddler requires an average of at least 50 diaper changes per week over 3 years, and whereas there are no government assistance programs for the purchase or provision of diapers, and a monthly supply of diapers can cost as much as 6% of a full-time minimum wage worker's salary. Therefore, obtaining a sufficient supply of diapers can cause economic hardship to families. And whereas a supply of diapers is generally an eligibility requirement for infant and toddlers to participate in child care programs and quality early education programs. And whereas the people of Kenmore recognize that addressing diaper need can lead to economic opportunity for the state's low-income families and can lead to improved health for families and their communities. And whereas the city of Kenmore is proud to be home to various community organizations like XIII Baby Corner that recognize the importance of diapers in helping provide economic stability for families and distribute diapers to poor families throughout various channels. Now, therefore, I, Nigel Herbig, Deputy Mayor of the City of Kenmore, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 23 through September 29, 2019 as Diaper Need Awareness Week in the City of Kenmore, and encourage the citizens of Kenmore to donate generously to diaper banks, diaper drives, and those organizations that distribute diapers to families in need to help alleviate diaper need in the City of Kenmore environs. And we have Kelly Cossinet from XIII Baby Corner to accept the proclamation. And next up, we have a proclamation for National Recovery Month. Whereas behavioral health is an essential part of one's overall health and wellness, and whereas prevention of mental health and substance use disorders works, treatment is effective, and people recover in our area and around the nation, and whereas preventing and overcoming mental and substance use disorders is essential to achieving healthy lifestyles both physically and emotionally, and whereas an estimated 400,000 people in King County are affected by these conditions, and whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of people with mental and/or substance use disorders to implement preventive measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services, and whereas we recognize 4 dimensions of recovery from mental health and substance use disorders: health, home, purpose, and community, and whereas to help more people achieve and sustain long-term recovery, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, King County, and the City of Kenmore invite all residents of the City of Kenmore to participate in National Recovery Month. And now, therefore, I, Nigel Herbig, Deputy Mayor of the City of Kenmore, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2019 as National Recovery Month in the City of Kenmore, and call upon its citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies to support this year's National Recovery Month theme: Join the Voices for Recovery, Together We Are Stronger. And Michael Reading from the King County Department of Community and Health Services, Behavioral Health and Recovery Division is here. You want to say a few words? All right, you can come on up to the podium there.
So Deputy Mayor Herbig and Kenmore City Council members, thank you very much on behalf of King County and the Behavioral Health and Recovery Division. I'm especially grateful to be here tonight because I'm also a resident of Kenmore. I've been living here for the past 5 years, and so just listening to you read that and to hear the words to speak out and engage in activities of recovery, I believe that's an important action to be able to speak out for recovery, because that's what helps reduce stigma for people living with mental illness and substance use disorders. I would venture to say that all of us in this room are touched by somebody living with mental illness or substance use. And the more we speak out, the more we can help people to access treatment, encourage people to treatment, support people in treatment, because treatment does work. King County Behavioral Health and Recovery Division is very committed to people accessing treatment in a timely manner so that recovery is possible. And I believe recovery is possible. So we need to keep speaking about it and speaking out. So thank you very much for this action tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Why don't you come on over here and we'll get a picture really quick. Next on the agenda is citizen comments. This is an opportunity to express your views on issues that are important to you and the community. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Your time will be shown up on the screen behind us. Clerk, is anybody signed up for citizen comment?
Stephen Gersman.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor Herbig and council members. My name is Stephen Gersman. I live in Kenmore. My daughter and son-in-law and their 2 kids live in Kenmore, and those kids attend Kenmore Elementary School. I'm here to talk about the open campus layout of Kenmore and others, but Kenmore Elementary School. I was on campus recently, and just towards the end of the last school year, I was called in to bring something in for my granddaughter. I wandered onto the campus into the school room without any problem, and I realized what a open, vulnerable place that school is. Given the current environment of gun violence in our society, constant Amber Alerts for missing kids, the school is fundamentally, I believe, unsafe for our kids. Something must be done, not soon, not later, to protect the children of Kenmore Elementary. I know there are plans to build a new school, but that is a number of years over. I have also talked to Henry Simon, who is the North Shore School District Director of Safety and Security, as well as Vice Principal Ryan, who deals with security on the campus. I'm here to appeal for a fence around the school. This seems to be Mr. Simon's probably the most logical and viable option right now. And I think this can be done fairly inexpensively, recognizing that it's a responsibility both decision-wise as well as financially between both the city and the school district. So it is dangerous to be in school today. I think we all know that. We know about the drills for elementary school kids. It's particularly frightening. We must protect our kids and their teachers. So I ask you, please, to find a way to fence in Kenmore Elementary School. Thank you.
John Schiller.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, members of council. I'm John Scheller with the King County Library System, and I wanted to draw your attention to our support for your city goals, and in particular the Kenmore priority to build community, celebrate diversity, and create fun. We've been bringing our bright red Library to Go bookmobile to Kids to the Park days. We've also sponsored some programs and activities at movie night at Town Center and the Hangar. Also, our Library Foundation provides free books to kids and families participating in the Summer Meals Program at City Hall and at Kenmore Elementary. I'm also sharing some 2018 statistics to show the love and the use that your residents give to the Kenmore Library, as well as a snapshot for the King County Library System overall last year. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Suzanne Singh.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Ting, and thank you. I just wanted to just let you know what we're doing with Just Get Me Started, and basically I'm just telling you about that we're just trying to get more involved with the community, and we're doing twice weekly classes with really anyone in the arts and innovation and creativity. So I just wanted to let you know what we're doing, and it's going really well. Tamara's husband's teaching a class on building a website this Saturday, and we did some other community building things. I mean, we've been going for almost a year now, so I just wanted to kind of communicate that. And I don't have, we also were wondering possibly if, for the Christmas tree lighting, if we could be involved in somehow, perhaps.
Offering an activity
Yeah.
of some sort for the community to participate in and kind of get the Just Get Me Started name and organization idea a little bit more spread in the community.
That's all.
Thank you.
There's nobody else signed up.
Does anybody else wish to be heard? Anybody else wish to be heard? All right, we're going to close citizen comment then. Mr. Gersman, thank you for coming and expressing your concerns. I would also encourage you to go speak with the school board, but I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Mr. Schaller, thank you for, he's already left, but I know we love our library. And it was, the stuff that's happening with Just Get Me Started is really fun. It's fun to see people getting plugged in there. All right, next up we've got the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second.
Sorry, I didn't hear that first. Thank you. Sorry, so the second was,
Councilmember Curtis.
thank you.
So we've got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved unanimously. All right, on to the business agenda. Item A, Resolution 19-326, declaring the city's intent to adopt legislative authority to authorize the sales and use tax for affordable and supportive housing in accordance with Substitute House Bill 1406. Debbie Bent, Community Development Director. Joanne Gregory, Finance and Administration Director.
Good evening, Council. So there are two actions on your agenda tonight. To implement the direction you gave to staff in July, which was to bring back legislation so that you could participate in the local sales tax options allowed by House Bill 1406. So the first item is passing a resolution saying that the city intends to participate in this, and once you've passed that resolution, the next action is an ordinance which kind of lays out what that participation would be. And based on your direction was to participate at the 0.0073% level, and that any money that we got in would go to Arch, and that's how the money would be used through Arch. So based on that direction, that's what the ordinance does, implements that direction. That's all I have to say about that. Joanne has some information about what that sales tax amount would be and when we would likely receive the first amount.
Yes, I tried to update the sales tax revenue figures from what was presented in the agenda bill. So the the state's fiscal year, it goes from mid-18 to mid-19, will establish our cap based on our total retail sales. So whatever our retail sales are for that period of time, the tax will be computed, and that will be the cap that we will receive over the course of the 20 years. So right now, I'm estimating that to be almost $22,000. So our sales are a little higher more currently than what we had projected when we looked at our 2018 taxable retail sales. In over 20 years, that's going to be about $430,000, so that's quite a bit. And if we pass the measure tonight and the ordinance, we will notify the Department of Revenue, and it will go into effect on November 1st, and we'll get our first receipts in January. Wanted to add that for your information.
Okay, do we have any questions? Are we putting any walls around this money to ensure that this is additional money to Arch and that we're not just supplanting current general fund donations to Arch?
I think that would be part of your budget discussion.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's part of the budget discussion.
My intention with this, with these receipts is to establish a separate account for them as the restricted monies, and then during either the budget amendment or budget discussions, we can determine for sure how you'd like to allocate those and budget them for distribution.
So we'd have two different line items in on the budget, one for this and one for our normal donation. Okay.
And my recommendation will be for these funds to be in addition to and not to supplant.
Councilmember Shrivenick?
Just a brief request. Could you just remind us, I believe I have this correct, that this is not a new tax to our voters, that this money is, the taxes are being collected out beyond the city's purview, and we're just accessing them. Can you describe that a little bit better than I just did?
We're taking a share of what the state would normally get. So it's not an additional tax. It's a piece of what would normally go to the state that is now coming to the city for this purpose for 20 years.
Councilmember Curtis?
So I do have a question. So I like the idea of money coming to a little more local control, and I think Arch does a better job representing us in the affordable housing area than the state. But obviously it's coming from the state. How are they spending it? Because they're going to have a huge shortfall, it sounds like. Does anybody know? We're taking it out of something to give it to us.
I do not know.
Yeah, I didn't take time to look at the state's fiscal note on the bill. My guess, though, is that the bill, I could be wrong, my guess with the thinking was that the state recognized there was a need for more money for affordable housing, and they also didn't want to have to build the infrastructure in the state to do that. And so they gave it to the locals to decide whether, if we wanted the money and then how we're going to spend it, because we're more on the ground and we already have infrastructure in place, like Arch or the city of Seattle, to do that. So
Okay, thank you.
I think there's a way just to get more money in the budget for it.
And I think it's interesting, too, that they're putting a cap on it so that for the next 20 years, they know they're not going to have to lose any more than they're going to lose initially.
It's
So
predictable.
as sales tax revenues increase over time, they'll get the advantage of that increase, but we'll continue to get the same distribution.
Any other questions? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to pass resolution 19-326, declaring the city's intent to adopt legislation to authorize a sales and use tax for affordable and supportive housing in accordance with substitute House Bill 1406.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, so it's Curtis and Smith. All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Shrevenick?
Yes?
Councilmember Marshall?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herbig?
Yes.
Councilmember Curtis?
Yes.
Councilmember Danuski?
Yes.
Passed.
Okay. Next up, we have ordinance 190496, adopting legislation to authorize the sales and use tax for affordable housing in accordance with substitute House Bill 1406, Chapter 338, Laws 2019, and adding a new Article 3 to Chapter 3.30 of the Kenmore Municipal Code. Anything additional here?
No.
No. All right. Councilmember Curtis?
I think I was a little confused. Why did we need a resolution and an ordinance?
Because first of all, the resolution saying you intend to participate, and then you had till January then to adopt legislation, but we just brought them back at the same time for efficiency's sake.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to pass ordinance 190496, adopting legislation to authorize the sales and use tax for affordable housing in accordance with substitute House Bill 1406, Chapter 338, Laws of 2019, and adding a new Article 3 to Chapter 3.30 of the Kenmore Municipal Code.
I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Curtis?
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall?
Yes.
Councilmember Danuski?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herbig?
Yes.
Councilmember Shrubnik?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Passed.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Next up, we've got staff report.
Just a few brief things. In my weekly update this week, I accidentally said that the joint meeting with North Shore Utility District would be on October 7th. So you actually have 3 joint board meetings in October. So October 7th will be a joint board meeting with the Fire District Commissioners at 6 p.m. And you don't have to write all this down or anything. We'll make sure we'll get it to you crystal clear here. We'll actually have, I think, 3 things on the agenda for October 7th, but the first thing will be a joint dinner meeting with the Fire District Commissioners at 6 o'clock. And then on October 14th, that's when we have a joint meeting with NUD and North Shore Utility District, and that's at 5:30 p.m., and I believe they're hosting. And then your other joint meeting in October is on October 28th with the city councils of Shoreline and Lake Forest Park at the city of Shoreline, and I believe that's also at 5:30, but we'll confirm that. The idea is to have enough time for you to get back to the city council meeting that night at 7. That's true on the 14th as well. We still plan on having a regular city council meeting right after the joint meetings on the 14th and the 28th. No one-on-ones this week unless you need to see me. I'll make myself available. Last but not least, on Friday I took a vacation day. Went down to the Puyallup Fair. But before I went down to the Puyallup Fair, I went to Bellevue to help Main Street Property Group present for an award. It's the NAOP award, and I have to look this up because NAOP stands for National Association of Industrial and Office Properties. It's kind of the Developer of the Year award type thing. Anyway, I helped them present on the Seaplane restaurant for the commercial building of the year. And but while I was down there, I noticed that they had a stack of these, and I'll hand these out. But what this is Main Street, on their own volition and on their own dime, they took it upon themselves to create a case study for the creation of downtown Kenmore. So they were going to hand it out for another award that they were applying for. They were also applying for Developer of the Year, and they were going to hand this out for that award. But I said, "Whoa, this is really cool. Can I get a copy?" And they said, "Sure." And they said, "How much? How many copies?" And I said, "I don't know, about 20." And that afternoon, they were delivered to City Hall. So anyway, I'll hand these out, but that's all I have. Oh, yeah.
Could you also give a highlight of the upcoming parks and open space function we've got coming up, and sort of how that is different, or what else that is looking for from the public after walkways and waterways?
Debbie, do you want to take that?
So the Park Recreation Open Space Plan is the long-term vision for what people want to see in the parks. And it's updated every 7 years so that we can be eligible to apply for grants. So the Planning Commission is on the Planning Commission's docket, Planning Commission's work program, which was directed by the council. And so they have been kind of working through that update process, so looking at what needs to be updated. So they've got and we've had public involvement. We had a statistically valid survey early on. We've done other outreach efforts. throughout the process, most recently at some of the summer concerts and the movie nights. So right now, we're sort of ready to, again, go to the public, and we have these, if you probably all got one of these in the mail, so I thought this was a really nice card to kind of invite people to this open house. So the open house is just to get feedback on where we are with the current draft. So looking at the goals, looking at the level of service, looking at the priorities, and asking the community, really, does this look about right, or did we miss anything? So it's sort of that last check-in, and we've also got an online survey as well, just asking 3 simple questions for participation. So again, it's part of that public outreach effort to get feedback to make sure that the PROS plan truly represents what the community wants to see for parks and recreation in 20 years. Does that answer your question? And then some, probably. Okay, thank you.
Anything else from staff? All right, councilmember initiatives, reports, and comments. Councilmember Smith.
I have one question for Rob. On this that you just passed out, it says, it has the orange coating, and it says commercial strip malls, and it's covered Lake Point and Plywood Supply on in the very front cover. I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's not referring to Lake Point.
Okay.
It's just saying what the Kenmore Village property was.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it looked a little confusing. They did not give me a chance to edit this. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, had I been given the chance, I would have offered a few comments. But it's still a great promotional tool. I think the story of our downtown is still yet untold in many circles, and a lot of people know about our downtown creation, but there's a lot of folks out there that still don't, and including academia. I've been talking to Eric Campbell at Main Street Property Group, and he thinks that we need to be talking to the UW real estate program about our story here and becoming a case study for them.
All right, Councilmember Marshall.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Curtis.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Sherbeck.
Nothing to add.
Councilmember Danuski.
Nothing to add.
All right, and I also have nothing to add, so unless there's anything else to come before us, the Kenmore City Council is adjourned.